I'm here to talk about interface a little bit. My name is Andrew Lovett-Barron, and I'm an interaction designer, technologist, and principal at Relay Studio, which is essentially a user experience design firm for interactive public space. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between direct interaction and ambient interaction. Direct interface or direct interaction is what we're mostly comfortable with and know. So things like keyboards, mice, joysticks, it's where you're essentially ordering a computer around and telling it what you want it to do. Think a joystick and a fighter plane. Ambient interfaces are pretty different. They're generally passive and sensor-based, and a camera is a really good example as something that is interpreting a scene and much more about presenting different choices based on the data it absorbs. So say like a passive infrared sensor or a camera or similar. However, this is a photo I took at Dundas Square. For the most part, we're doing it wrong. And one of the reasons is that we're trying to push existing paradigms like Windows into places where it doesn't belong. And one of the opportunities that we have is to change that and be very proactive in our approach instead of just passive and reactive to the new technologies that are presenting themselves. So let's talk about the opportunities that we have. With security systems that are increasingly networked, digital kiosks, giant screens, these things, which have my cue cards. Direct interfaces. So really what these things are about navigating really complex data in a way that we essentially understand, something that maps to our mental models, such as movement or touching something to get a response or similar. And it makes use of computer systems in their capacity to store data and deal with processes and similar. Ambient interfaces are different in that they make use of those properties to present us with a variety of different options and essentially predict human behavior and predict human action, present the right choice for that context. And it's really important to think of data as something that's being passed back and forth between the different scenarios. So in this case, we're using one of those cameras to interpret a scene and turn the human body into something very similar to a mouse cursor. We're using data as a trigger. So my focus is on using computer vision. And computer vision is all about interpreting a scene or interpreting visual inputs into something that a computer can understand. So this is actually an example of eigenfaces, which track, or which can be used to identify a face or identify a human being. The thing about ambient interfaces is they can be any size. So this is something I set up for the TIFF Bell Lightbox. Giant screen, 2 connects. People either engaged with it very directly and had a really good time, or they just ignored it. And this is one of the dangers. Then some ambient interfaces are very small. This one is detecting human finger motion, and there's some great work that's happening in Toronto around these small wearable interfaces. Alex with Site 3, Kate Hartman at OCAD, Aaron Lewis at the same. It's really good work. And then a lot of ambient interfaces are hybrids. All of these things have the capacity to be sensitive to location, to present different types of information, and to present the right content at the right time. And that's really the opportunity that we have in front of us. So the question is how not to be scared. As individuals, we're now existing in an environment that is constantly receiving information from us and what we're doing. As businesses, how the hell do you keep doing what you've been good at for so long and stay sensitive to the new technologies that are emerging around you? So one of the main ones is to just learn the language. As individuals, go out to artist galleries like Interaccess and take workshops on code. Just learn the bare basics. And as a business, hire the people who are doing this. Provide incentives and really look for people who can communicate the code and technology side of things to individuals in the business space. Then make things for yourself. Technology is intrinsically interesting, and people will just play around. This is something that me and Adam actually did. That's his work right there. And as a business, like encourage this activity, provide the 20% hours, and then don't be a jerk about trying to take the people's work. Work with them. No, seriously, like work with them in order to make something even better as a whole. And then make things about yourself for fun. Like in the end, we're essentially all that we have, and we should be actively trying to learn as much as possible and work with all the things that we have. And businesses just, you need to be strategic about how you approach creativity and how you encourage creativity within the people who make up your organizations. And then ask the questions about like, what are we actually interacting with and how is it interacting with us? How do these technologies change our behavior? How does putting a cell phone on a table during a conversation change the timbre of that conversation and the communication and language that's taking place at that point? For me, I've chosen to explore all these things through my own business, Relay Studio, which is an interaction design studio focused on using computer vision and sensor technologies to like really pull out the design side of building things for public space, building interactive public spaces and making sure that we aren't surrounded by screens and doesn't turn into a really bad dystopian novel. So yeah, my information's there. Feel free to reach out and I'd love to talk about this more.